fine, Daddy. Hi, what is your favourite, Dad?
Well, there we go. None of my theories came true, but some people got it right. What that was... I want next week's episode now, please. I would like to know what happens next. Hello, welcome to Culture Filter. I am the Fill-In Filter. This is the Rowan in... I don't have a thing for that, but this is Rowan. He's my son. He watched it with me. He's going to tell us what he thinks as well about the episode. The Legend of Ruby Song. That is what we are reviewing here today. I mean, there was a load of theories. I had some, other people had some flying around for this episode, and one in particular did, or I don't know if it was a theory or a leak, but it came true at the end. Spoilers, by the way, in this review. So, the episode starts very dramatically with the TARDIS skidding into unit and the give me the loving stuff. Now, there was lots of reunions, lots of introductions, and I generally like the kind of pace of it, the feel of it. It was very, very energetic and stuff. I do question unit's hiring practices. They appear to be hiring children now. Yes, one of them's a 13-year-old genius, but still putting him in danger. There's got to be some safeguarding issues there. What are you doing? I thought you wanted to sit on me. You're getting down. Bye then. And Rose, how old is Rose now? Because she was 15 in The Giggle and all those stories, so now she must be a maximum 16. So I don't know, some safeguarding practices that maybe HR need to look at unit. But it was good to see her. I did wonder what we'd get in reference to her mum and the 14th Doctor, and we got a kind of like, hey, how's your mum and how's your uncle, rather than referring to him as like him saying, how's me? but a past version of me. I thought we'd maybe get a bit more of an explanation of why they don't turn up to help, like, oh, they're off-world somewhere, or I believe somebody spotted something in the background that pointed out that Donna and Redacted were on a mission somewhere, so that could be them. But yeah, I kind of wondered if we'd just get a little bit more, but we didn't. But that's fine. And we very quickly get to the meat of the episode, which is that the Doctor wants to know if the unit can help him with the Susan Twist situation. That's the actress's name, but you know what I mean. This woman that keeps on appearing everywhere he goes. And we get to... What I did like is that we got a little bit of kind of hints at off-screen adventures, because he brings up a couple of different faces of this woman that's some kind of griffin who looks like an ice what are they called? White Walker from Game of Thrones, and a kind of cyborgy version of her. And we get kind of like this hint that they've had off-screen adventures, which I love, because I do love the fact that the show very explicitly says they've been having adventures off-screen, because it then opens the door a bit more for the expanded universe stuff to fit in. He did also ask for help with the mystery of Ruby Sunday and whether or not they could help clear up who her parentage is, and we get a bit of exposition about that. This scene, again, there was quite a lot of exposition in it, with introducing people and all this stuff about the two plots that are going on. But I kind of feel the characters do carry it off quite well. And I don't know how much of that is it being written like fairly okay exposition, or they're just so good and charismatic at performing it that we forgive it. But there was quite a lot there, but it didn't bother me too much. Whether or not he should be asking for these two things at once, maybe just focus on one thing, Doctor, but I'm sure they will tie into each other eventually. We got the new character of Morris, who is the new scientific advisor, the 13-year-old child genius. Where is Shirley Bingham, the previous scientific advisor? And where is Osgood? Because, I want to see Osgood again. I like Osgood. But they seem to be going through scientific advisors quite quickly. So hopefully we see both of the previous two scientific advisors back again at some point. But in terms of Morris, I thought he did a fine job. I question whether or not they should be employing 13-year-olds, however genius they are. But there we go. He was amusing throughout. He's had some funny lines. And I'm interested to see more from him, possibly, but I would like the other ones back as well, especially Osgood. One thing they did do is they did kind of rattle off the theories that we've all been having about, his granddaughter Susan, the fact that S Triad is an anagram for TARDIS, they made them out like, oh yeah, that's so obvious. And that they played with the fact that, oh, we had been thinking that, and we had been coming up with all these theories on that straight away, and they came up with these theories straight away as well in this episode. So they weren't trying to eke this out, which instantly made me think, oh, well, okay, none of those theories are true then. Even though they tailed out it could be Susan, his granddaughter, for a while, almost until the end of the episode. From that moment, the minute they said it, at the very beginning of the episode, I kind of knew, well, it's not then, is it? Because you wouldn't be saying it this early on if it was. So, I mean, it's a shame. I would love to see Carol Ann Ford back in some capacity in the show just one last time, maybe. That would have been lovely. Maybe we will. Maybe she'll still turn up and this is a double bluff and she's just not Susan Triad, but she is going to turn up. That would be lovely. We'll see next week. But I did kind of like the fact that they kind of threw that all in there because it kept us guessing even more because we weren't sitting there going, or at least I wasn't going, oh, I think it's Susan. It threw me because I was like, oh, if it's not Susan, because they think it's Susan, that's too obvious. Who is it? We get a little bit more of the Mrs. Flood mystery as well, because when she's asked to basically look after Ruby's grandmother while Carla and Ruby go to unit, as soon as they're out, she says some very creepy stuff about him returning and who that is. And the mood darkens and clearly she knows something. This isn't just an offhand, that line about the TARDIS was all we had previously, but she knows something. She is somebody. Maybe she's Susan. I'm hanging on to this Susan thing. I really want Susan to be back. And even though if it is Susan as she's recast, we can see Carol Ann Ford regenerate into her at some point in a flashback or something. But then again, she looks a bit menacing, so maybe she's a bad guy. Who knows? I do find it odd that Kate didn't know he had a granddaughter. Because the Brigadier definitely does. The Brigadier has met her in the Five Doctors. I'm pretty sure they met then. So, did they meet? I think they met. Either way, she must have come up in that story. She was there around. He must know that the Doctor has a granddaughter, so he hasn't mentioned it. Now, there was one line from the Doctor which did irk me a little bit, but it's very nitpicky. It doesn't affect the quality of the episode, but in terms of the lore of Doctor Who, I'm going to be nitpicky here because, just this once, because there's a line of, when they're discussing whether or not he has a granddaughter, Kate says, oh, you must have a child then. You must have like a daughter or something. And he says, not necessarily, no. Not exactly. Not yet. That implies that whoever is Susan's mum is his future child, and that he hasn't had any children. But there is definitely lines from, I remember, I can't pinpoint the episode right this second, but from the 10th Doctor's era, where he talks about being a father. And in fact, in this era, there has been episodes about talking about being a father. And he has said, I have been a father. I used to have a family. And now this seems to contradict that, because now he seems to be saying that's in his future. I don't know. If this is just a line to annoy fans, Russell, why? Why? I mean, Russell does seem to be a little bit on this bent, and he said this in interviews, that it's fun to throw stuff in because he knows it will annoy fans. Now, here's my stance on this. I don't mind him doing stuff that annoys fans, me even, if it serves a story purpose. If this has a purpose in the narrative, either this season or next season or something, where we're going to get a story about this, I don't mind that. I don't mind him messing with stuff like that. If it's just thrown in there because he's like, this will make the fans be really annoyed and that'll be fun to laugh at, and I'm not going to do anything with it, I'm just going to throw it in there like a grenade and see what happens and just watch and laugh, that's a little bit annoying. So, tentatively, I don't like this line, but if he does something with it, story-wise, I might let him off of it. Not that he has to listen to anything I say, but it annoys me at the moment because it just doesn't make any sense based on what we know before. Not that this show has ever been consistent. There were two scenes which I thought were really good in this episode for building tension. They had goosebumps. They were just really good dramatic scenes that up to the tension, up to the sort of action stakes, the stakes of the episode, and I was really on the edge of my seat for. The first of those is the time window scene where the creature is first revealed, and we get this tension moment of like when Colonel, I've forgotten his name, the Colonel that goes behind the TARDIS and disappears. I thought that was really well done. That was really well filmed. It was very spooky with the kind of hologram aesthetic around them, and the music worked really well. The acting was really well in that. So that was a really good tense scene. And then the reveal scene at the end where everything works in that scene. It had me on edge again. The pacing of the reveal was really well done. The music worked really well. The what we saw on screen, the graphics worked well with it. Everything built to this moment, this really tense moment, and I was on the edge of my seat as Susan Triad was giving her speech and kind of losing it a little bit. That all worked really well. And then we get the reveal that, as many people predicted, yes, it was Sutek, the bad guy from the Pyramids of Mars. I hope I got that right. A story I have never seen, so I know nothing about the guy. I know I'm going to hand in my Doctor Who fan badge. I haven't seen all of the classic era, okay? I've seen about half of it. Finding the time to watch it. I've got most of it on DVD and Blu-ray. I just haven't... The time. Finding the time is difficult. So, yeah, that's exciting. They're bringing a returning villain that, you know, an unusual returning villain. It's not the Daleks, it's not the Cyberman, it's not the Master, it's somebody different. And I'm quite excited to see where that goes. I might have to go watch the Pyramids of Mars now, ahead of next week. I reckon that's going to be the tale of the TARDIS episode somehow. But overall, I thought this was an exciting episode. I thought there were some interesting reveals. And yeah, I had a good time watching it, and I'm very eager to watch next week's. Shall we see what the Thor-year-old thought?
Can I do the Spider-Man first? And I have a Spider-Man and it makes noise.
Time to spin some webs.
So, what did you like about the episode? What was your favourite bit?
When there was two doctors, I said
The bit where in the hologram.
yeah.
Yeah, was that good? Why did you like that bit?
Because I thought it and the TARDIS that never the doctor came out and wasn't the real TARDIS.
Yeah, it was just a hologram, wasn't it? Were there any bits you didn't like?
I didn't like
You getting distracted by the rain?
yeah.
Chucking it down outside. You didn't like what?
I didn't like the bit when there was that monster.
At the end, on top of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Oh, is it scary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to next week? Cool. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below, and I'll be back next week for another review. Possibly with Rome, possibly not. Who knows? He's fickle. He decides in the moment whether or not he's going to join me. You want to say goodbye?
Bye.
Bye.